So now I'd like to call the business meeting of the Portland Board of Public Education to order. It is Tuesday, February 4th, 2025. We are meeting in a hybrid format with some of us here at Casco Bay High School and some of us online via Zoom. Dr. Warren, will you please call the roll?
I would love to. Member Ali.
Here.
Member Yusra Ali. Vice Chair Bondo.
Présente.
Member Bryden.
Here.
Member Lena.
Here.
Member Noor.
Here.
Member Opperman.
Here.
Student Representative Fitzgerald.
Here.
Student Representative Kintiba.
Here.
Student Representative Lee.
Here.
Student Representative O'Brien.
Here.
Student Representative Ziegler.
Here.
Chair Lentz.
Present. Thank you. And now the Pledge of Allegiance.
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Portland Public Schools recognizes the original inhabitants of the land on which our city and schools stand. The Wolastoqiyik or Maliseet, Micmac, Penobscot, and Passamaquoddy tribes, known collectively as the Wabanaki Confederacy, or the people of the Dawnland. We are honored to have Wabanaki children among our students today, and as a district, we are committed to making the past, present, and future of Wabanaki peoples visible in our schools and classrooms. And now we have a student representative to read our mission and our definition of equity. So go ahead, Student Representative Ziegler.
Thank you. Our mission. The Portland Public Schools is responsible for ensuring a challenging, relevant, and joyful education that empowers every learner to make difference in the world. We build relationships among families, educators, and the community to promote the healthy development and academic achievement of every learner. And our definition of equity. Equity is all people being held to high expectations and having access to opportunities that are reflective of their individual needs, identities, and experiences. Equity is achieved in Portland Public Schools when there are no identifiable differences in outcomes and experiences for any population subgroup.
Thank you very much. And now we have public comment about any non-budget related issues, or, if you missed the first one and you want to do budget, that's okay too. Is there anyone that would like to give public comment here in the room or online? If you're online, you can raise your hand. Okay, I'm seeing nobody here and nobody online, so I'm going to go ahead and close public comment. And I just have a couple of remarks tonight. First, I wanted to just let everyone know that the board had one of their annual retreats this past weekend. Our focus was on revisiting our own personal whys of why we're on the school board and co-creating a vision of the work that we want to accomplish in the coming years. Topics like arts and music, student achievement, staff retention, and a progressive discipline policy were all addressed. We plotted out where those initiatives might fall within the strategic plan and how committees and the full board can be helpful and support these initiatives. I want to thank everyone on the board for showing up so fully for that time and giving up a Saturday to do that. Secondly, I wanted to address the executive orders coming out of the executive office at what seems like a very rapid pace right now. Anytime there's a new executive order, the superintendent, along with the board, are working to understand its current implications. We're working alongside our lawyers and trusted community partners, as well as the Department of Education here in Maine, to respond to the orders as they dictate. Throughout this, we continue to center our students and let their and their families' needs inform our response. As needed, we're communicating to and training staff on best practices. We continue to uphold our mission and our commitment to equity in all of our responses. And so with that, I'm now going to turn it over to the report of the student. We have Student Representative Lee from Deering High School. Ready to give a report?
Yes.
Okay, beautiful. Take it away.
Good evening, board, and thank you very much, Chair Lentz. I am, as you know, Student Representative Zachary Lee of Deering High School. At Deering High School, we are entering February and our second week of the new semester. Thanks to Deering's unique schedule, this is an exciting time. Students are settling into brand new classes. Our schedule remains a selling point of Deering, which allows students to take college classes earlier and hone in on a smaller set of classes. We recently welcomed Mr. Jeff Burnap as our interim assistant principal, while Ms. Schulweiler takes maternity leave. In terms of academics, Deering has recently made shifts to our grading policy aimed to increase academic rigor and motivate students to aim higher. The major change is that students can now receive zeros on assignments. This marks a departure from a policy which has lingered since the special circumstances of COVID, where 50 was the lowest grade one could get, except in cases of cheating or plagiarism. In our most recent assembly, we discussed this change and rang in the new semester, all while welcoming back our assistant principal, Ms. Knorr. Our guidance counselors are currently working with all grade levels to prepare students for post-secondary success. Freshmen will be learning more about transcripts and college and career options in advisory. Sophomores will also use advisory to talk about finding careers that suit their strengths and personalities. Meanwhile, juniors will keep targeting college applications, testing, financial aid, technical training programs, both in advisory and one-on-one meetings. Same goes for seniors, who will be getting help with financial aid, scholarships, and more. Additionally, Deering has been connecting with the community. The school has recently partnered with the new Stevens Avenue restaurant, Noble Barbecue and Pizzeria. Every Thursday night, a portion of Noble's sales will be donated to our Deering FTO. But what's going on in terms of extracurriculars? I'm glad you asked. In honor of Valentine's Day, our Key Club is preparing to host a bake sale on the 13th and 14th, with all proceeds going to the Thirst Project. And on the 14th, Deering will host our winter formal dance. This is a new event which we have not had at Deering for years. Meanwhile, rehearsals have begun for the Deering Players winter one-act production, titled The Blue and the Gray. This show is unique in that the script was actually hand-selected by the students. In the absence of an adult tech director, so many students have been continuing to truly show up and demonstrate their leadership skills. We have also been happy to welcome our new director, Rachel Perry, for this production, who also serves as the Culture and Climate Coordinator at Deering, alongside her colleague. There will also be a performance at Deering on March 5th at 6 p.m. Then on the 6th and 7th, we will be taking the show on the road to the Regional One Acts Festival at Thornton Academy. Continuing on the topic of the arts, on Saturday, 2 Deering students attended the prestigious District 2 chorus concert, where they got to work with the conductor and composer Colin Britt. It was a phenomenal opportunity to learn more about the world of singing. Deering's vibrant musical programs will also be participating in the All-City concert next month. I would also like to shout out our Model UN program, which has seen unprecedented student interest, making us the largest high school Model UN program in the state. Next Monday, the club will have its first informational meeting as the team prepares for the annual Maine Model UN conference hosted by USM in May. We have gained a new club also this year, Ski and Snowboarding Club, which has really taken off. And 3 weeks ago, our Science Olympiad team headed to Massachusetts to attend the MIT Invitational Tournament. They were the top performing team from Maine and have a strong chance of attending nationals as a team in spring. It was truly a big weekend for the Rams, as that same weekend, Deering Debate had a strong showing at the state championship tournament. We were state champions in public forum debate and also came in second in congressional debate with 2 students, myself and junior Noah Rashid, qualifying for the NCFL national tournament in Chicago. Ultimately, the team came home with the coveted debate state champions trophy. And just this weekend, juniors Ellis Retzer and Alma Wallace also qualified for nationals as a public forum team. But let me also shine a light on Deering's athletic programs, which remain strong. In fact, participation numbers for our winter sports are the highest in 4 years. Right now, teams are winding down the regular season and getting ready for the postseason. Next week, the state championships begin for basketball and wrestling, and all other teams will be competing in the state championships the week of February break. Our teams have the chance to win the state championship title as individual athletes in track, Nordic skiing, swimming, and wrestling. Unified Basketball is also enjoying an exciting start to their season and have 2 games next week against Westbrook and Falmouth. I encourage anyone listening to come out to these local away games to support the Ram Dogs. Speaking of basketball, on Wednesday, senior Evan Lagasse celebrated becoming the first Ram to reach 1,000 career points since 2012. In swim, Deering's team has multiple of the fastest girls in the state. Many of our track athletes have also qualified for regionals, and our accomplished junior Ellis Wood continues to lead the state in the 2-mile for Class A. On Saturday, February 15th, the Rams will be hosting a fundraiser trivia night for the track team. The games will start at 5:30 p.m. at the club at Riverside, and admission will be $40 per table. Overall, Deering athletes are looking forward to the start of spring sports in late March and to our exciting new high school softball co-op team. So it seems appropriate for me to conclude with a note about the future of Deering, the class of 2029. Last month, as 8th graders faced their high school choice, Deering hosted an information night. The auditorium was filled to capacity. Clearly, 8th graders continue to be drawn to Deering. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to reporting to the board again in May.
Thank you so much, Student Representative Lee. Man, you guys are doing a really wonderful job. Thank you so much for all of those updates. Board members, I would look to you for any questions that you have. Board Member Lena, go ahead.
Thank you very much. I don't know if you know the answer to this, but do you know when and where the All-City concert is?
I don't think that I know the answer to that, but I'll just double check. No, I just know that it's next month, but
We'll be on the lookout. Any other questions from the board? Yeah, Board Member Bryden, go ahead.
Thank you, and thank you for all that great information. I actually have a similar question. If you happen to know the location and time for the Unified Basketball games?
if it's not written down on these papers, I honestly don't know it, but I'm sure that that information is
Somewhere.
available. Yes.
Thank you so much.
I think I personally will follow up on those things and get those information to the board. 'Cause we love to be able to go to things like that. I had a question for you. What do you think it is about the UN club that everyone likes so much?
I have a theory that it kind of has to do with the way that Deering, I think, is really good about emphasizing sort of international learning. Particularly, like, freshmen at Deering are required to take AP Human Geography. And so I think that is sort of a distinct thing that gives, and also like our global issues class, which is really close to Model UN. We do a lot of just straight up Model UN type activities in that class, which people are also required to take that. And so I think that does a good job preparing students to have that global perspective that is then a gateway into doing Model UN. And I think, yeah, global issues just teaches people what Model UN is like. And so people think that it's, they have an idea of what it is.
Beautiful. Thank you for that theory. I like it. Any other thoughts or questions from the board? Yes, Vice Chair Bondo, go ahead.
Thank you so much. By listening to you is something, then the smile came on my face just to make sure when I'm here, what I'm doing, and the value of the outcomes and results reflecting on you guys. You are just the next generation, the future, and I think it's really pushing me to really advocate and to keep doing what I'm doing, to make sure that your voice is really heard and that you are on the first line while we are here. And I'm just so proud that, Thank you. Thank you for representing your schools. Thank you.
Thank you
Chair.
so much.
Thank you, Vice Chair.
Okay. And so with that, Superintendent, do you have any remarks tonight?
I'll defer my comments to Zachary if he has any others that he wants to share at this point.
I know, I was like, I'd like to come over here.
No, that was phenomenal. Just following up because I didn't know the answer off the top of my head, but I did confirm that the All-City Concert is at 4 p.m. on March 19th at the Deering Gym. And so Ms. Cabral, who was here a couple of minutes ago, sharing public comment, confirmed that. Usually the Unified Basketball, which is joint with Portland High School, their schedule is online, and we can share that with folks.
Beautiful. Thank you for that. So then up next, we're going to have our elementary schools update. Dr. Atkinson.
Thank you. Just think there it is. Good evening, everyone. My report is brief because I knew that you would have a long meeting ahead of time. But three things. I'm just going to give you some January highlights and some big lifts that we saw in January. Also want to highlight our mobile makerspace, just give you an overview of that, and then let you know about a couple of upcoming events. So in January, our highlights and big lifts included assessments, data review, and celebrations. From January 6th to February 28th, many of you may know that our English language learners take the English language proficiency assessment called the Access. And we have 1,048 elementary multilingual learners who will be engaged in that assessment during this time. It takes quite a lot of logistics to manage for school leaders and for students themselves. So we appreciate their hard work on that assessment. We also took, from January 6th to January 24th, we also took our middle of the year interim assessments in foundational reading skills. At the earliest grades, it's the early bird assessment in K and 1, and then in 2 through 5, it's M-Class Dibbles, and our curriculum and policy committee will hear updates on that data next week. We also had our pre-K lottery that ran from January 10th to the 26th. Any applications that come in after that are added to our wait list. And as a reminder, we have 18 pre-K classrooms throughout the district with a total of 264 student seats. Also want to let folks know that on January 30th, the district hosted at UNAM, so thank you to them, a professional learning day for school and district leaders focused on reviewing our mid-year data, developing action plans, and we also had a session on culturally responsive teaching and leadership from our new partners, the Leadership Academy. And then I thought I would just share these nice images. Many elementary libraries celebrated Martin Luther King Jr. Day with books celebrating Dr. King and civil rights, including at Ocean here with volunteers from UNE. So I told you I would focus on our mobile makerspace. So the mobile makerspace provides all elementary students with hands-on learning in STEAM and computer science. I just want to say I think it's a valuable investment and an unforgettable experience for students. Our mobile makerspace teacher, Karen Scheibel, spends about 3 weeks at each elementary school each year. She provides experience for all grade levels, and including pre-K and including our students on the islands. Grades 2 and 5 have more in-depth experiences. Those experiences are 4 sessions long, and the other grades have sessions that have one session experience. And then I also included the row the Mobile Makerspace newsletter for a detailed overview of the programming. You can see that kids are learning about engineering, that they're creating mazes for robotic bugs, that they are building their own versions of bridges that might cross highways to allow for animal crossings, and trying to figure out the best way to do that. So that's what you'll see in that newsletter. And then I just wanted to let folks know that the foundation, thank you, Andy, and our community partners have invested about $236,000 since we started building the program, and that our goal has always been to have the foundation and grants pay for the consumables and startup costs, and have the local budget cover the costs of personnel. And then just some upcoming events. We have our Professional Learning Day this Friday. This is one of the first times, at least in a while, that we've had a professional in-service day in the middle of the year. Usually we have all of ours up in the beginning of the year, and so there is no school for students. This is time for teachers and school and district leaders to be learning together. At the elementary level, the two common topics that we will have across all our schools are focused on culturally responsive teaching and curriculum planning. And then I also wanted to let you know that Longfellow School will be hosting a community dinner tomorrow night from 6 to 7:30 p.m. in the Longfellow Gymnasium. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Are there questions from the board? Board Member Bryden, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you so much for this information. I always appreciate your updates. I have a quick question about the slide that talked about the pre-K lottery. It sounds like there were 264 seats, and any applications that come in after January 26th get added to the waiting list. I'm curious how many applications there were before the 26th. Basically, what I'm getting at is how many families are on a waiting list.
I know that the sum did come in afterwards, so I don't know that we have the update around how many are on a waiting list. We always have a waiting list, but we usually are able to get most families in, especially if they get their applications in before the start of summer.
Okay, so there's not a substantial waiting list made up of families that got their application in before January 26th.
Right.
Correct. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Can I just add like a quick piece? Dr. Warren, do you know the number right now?
Yeah, I don't know what the current number is. I mean, the truth is that the waiting list just keeps going, right? So we add throughout the year, and then as slots open up, we look at who's, next up, and we keep. Even right now at this point in the year, we're putting people in off the waiting list. So it's kind of a constant revolving door.
I think the number, whenever I checked in with Ryan last week, I think it was like 16 folks were on, but there was still some space. So it does keep, anyway.
Yeah, and it's a fairly complex, fairly is an understatement. It's a very complex process with lots of factors that go into, sort of building each of the classrooms. So yeah, we never have a shortage of people looking for those seats, but yeah.
And then the other piece just to name is that number of seats that we're able to offer is based on the number of seats that we are provided funding for from the state. And so that is a cap for all intensive purposes based on state funding that we receive.
You? Any other? Oh, yes, Vice Chair Bondo, go ahead.
Thank you. I have one question and one comment. For the English language access, the English language assessment for the multilingual learners, those are to make sure they have the language exit when we get a result. I just want to make sure it does.
So it's both. It is the state required assessment. And so it both helps us see if they have, achieved proficiency where they can exit, And we also see, Dr. Scallon talked about growth scores. So we do also look at multilingual, at their growth on that assessment. And we did just receive those like literally today. That data. It's not in a format that's easily presentable, honestly. So we're trying to summarize that data.
Okay, so we can have those data sooner.
We should be able to pull it together. I mean, literally, I just received, and Carlos just received it from the state today. So, but yeah, and it has to be summarized, but.
Yeah, because I remember those years back, the exit was on the 6th, right? So we went down 4. Was our level to have them exit from the language support?
They have to, are you at like they need to achieve a 4.5 to be able to exit from that. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Thank you so much. My only comment is that I'm so proud here to see what Ocean Avenue is still doing with the Martin Luther King, because 2011, 2012, I was one of the parents on the PTO who really advocate on that time to make sure that we are celebrating those events, and I see then the culture still continue, and I'm just hoping then other elementary school, they may still doing the same thing. So
thank you.
Yeah. I'm so proud to see that.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Bondo. Any other questions? Just making sure Board Member Noor does not have a question. Okay. Thank you so much for that update.
Thank you.
And then I think we have the report of the secretary next. I just want to double check that that's where we're going. Okay, thank you.
Minutes, January 21st.
Thank you. So we've got the consideration and action to approve the minutes of January 21st, 2025. Are there any corrections to those meeting minutes from January 21st, 2025? Okay. Seeing none, then those minutes are approved as distributed. And now we have our first read of the Capital Improvement Plan, otherwise known as SIP. Or CIP. We've got lots of names for this.
It's got many names, but only one love. We're I'm excited to have Tamara Sweeney, who's our Director of Facilities, here this evening to present to you a summary of what was approved at the most recent Finance Committee for capital improvement investments for fiscal year 2026. Tonight will be a first read, but we will do the presentation and answer any questions in anticipation of a vote and approval to move forward at the February 11th meeting.
Good evening. I'm here tonight to present the FY26 Capital Improvement Plan. So we can start with what is a capital improvement plan, just so to clarify for everyone. It's a long-term plan for maintaining and improving school infrastructure. It ensures the safety and comfort of students and staff. And at a minimum, our goal should be to maintain a safe, warm, and dry environment by addressing key areas in the school facilities. Safe, warm, and dry is our theme this year again. Safety first, protecting our students and staff by making sure we have secure entry vestibules, any kind of lighting repairs outside, door access controls, parking lot repairs are some of the safety issues that we look at. Keeping students and staff warm by ensuring proper heating and ventilation systems, keeping students and staff dry by doing the building envelopes and roof work. And projects were either identified through the district's comprehensive facility studies that were done in 2016 or through identification by staff. And on that last slide, if you click on either one of those two, it will take you to those studies and the detailed CIP. Long-term impact and benefits. to ensuring a safe, warm, and dry environment. Fosters better concentration and performance for our students. It also will reduce costs by energy efficient upgrades, reducing long-term utility costs. And it also can increase our property value by maintaining our facilities to the overall value of the school property. So currently we have CIP projects that total $13.3 million in various phases. Our FY26 proposal recommends an additional $3 million in projects that are essential for keeping our students and staff safe, warm, and dry. And as the charts show, it shows the various stages and what funds we still have in those stages. And if on the last two slides, there was a document that you could click on and it will break those stages down for you with more detail. So these are the projects that we are bringing forward in the proposal. There's 10 projects. There are 6 building envelope proposals. The first one, I might have to look at my slides because I don't know if I can see that up there. Are four roof replacements. One is Casco Bay High School. There's a roof canopy over the front entrance that has more than 50 plus patches, and the insulation is wet. It's actually the section of roof right over here. Then we have Longfellow roof replacement. The small uppermost roof and left side rubber roof is in poor condition with ponding water, and it's very spongy. We have Presumpscott roof replacement. The front office and pitch roof are in good condition, but the remainder of the roof is in very poor condition with multiple patches upon patches. And then we have Reiki. 2 of the white roofs are in good condition, but the remainder of the roof is in poor condition with extreme wear and delamitation. And then these are the next 2 projects we have under the building envelope. Lincoln Middle School, window replacements. The very front of the school windows are original to the building, not energy efficient, and have many, many leaks. And then we have the Deering High School. This is the phase 2 of the masonry. Last year, you approved the phase 1, and we're just continuing that work. The one HVAC proposal we have is for Casco Bay High School. It's heating and ventilation unit number 1. Unit is past its useful life and parts are no longer manufactured to support it. Then we have some safety and security proposals. Deering High School to provide a secure entrance and ADA accessibility entrance at the back of the school. Currently, the ADA door allows it to be open too long, and we would like to build a secured vestibule in the back. Then we have Portland High School, exterior lighting, replacing all the high-density wall packs with LED and replace 2 of the 12-foot pole lights to add some more lighting and security safety around the school. And then we have one other proposal that's multi-school paving parking lot replacement proposal in various schools needing to make sure that our parking lots are repaved. So the approved PPS capital requests are bonded by the city, but PPS is responsible for paying our portion of the associated loan principal and interest as it accrues. For example, if we had a new request for $1 million PPS capital project, assuming it has a facility with a 20-year life, that will add approximately 1 cent to the PPS portion of the mill rate for the next 20 years at an estimated 4% interest rate. And then these are just some more updates on some meetings. Once after the first read and then the next time we meet, it will go for a vote and go.
Yeah, and just as update here, we just have a typo on the calendar. It's February 11th for the school board vote, and then the council has requested for their committee vote to be on the 27th. That just came in while we were in meeting today.
Welcome any feedback or questions.
And I will open it up to questions in just a second, but once the city council gets it, could you go over the process of what happens just for new board members? They vote it up or down, flat out? Or can they make recommendations? Can they say to us, you have to remove $1 million from this, or?
I mean, so I only lived it last year.
Yeah.
And last year it was a vote up or down. I believe it is a straight up or down vote. They don't have line item veto. They don't have line item veto on our budget. They only have a straight up or down. I believe it's the exact same on the CIP. And so we plan to present it the 27th. We believe that everything that we're asking for at a safe, warm, and dry is the bare minimum that any of us should have as a bar for facilities pieces. And so we do anticipate that it will not be an issue. And in fact, there are certain things that the city asked us to potentially consider bonding, having in our CIP, and we pushed back on. So if anything, it would likely be an ask to add to it, not the other way around.
Great. What questions from student representatives? Yeah, Student Representative O'Brien, go ahead.
Thank you. This is mostly for my own clarification. Reiki was just renovated. Was the roof not part of that?
Correct. The building envelope wasn't included in the BFOF remodels.
Thank you.
So and just for people who are watching at home or are not as familiar with construction pieces, then for you, it may have made sense. I was new to this work, and so I had to ask Tamara to explain that term. Building envelope is referring to, do you want to just walk them through that?
Sure. It would be anything that encompasses the building, like roof, walls, doors, pretty much that circumference of the building.
And so
That's not a great explanation, but
the hand gestures really helped. So it is really the exterior facing sides of it. And so what we actually see with our BFOF projects is that if you look at that first slide, it actually had Reiki, Presumpscott, I think 4 of them, Longfellow, were all named on there. And so part of this is about making sure that we're protecting the investment that was made on the inside, because if there's water intrusion, then new flooring, paint is all ruined. And so part of that is about protecting that investment and why it's so important.
Yep.
Good question. Board Member Bryden, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. Director Sweeney, thank you so much, both for, sharing this information with us today and all of the time and energy that you put into preparing all of this, and your team as well, giving us on the, and I know it's easy to say, Finance Committee, but on the Finance, Operations, and Personnel Committee, the information that we needed to have 2 meetings where we really worked through what was being presented and made a couple of adjustments, as the superintendent alluded to. So I just wanted to take a quick moment and voice some appreciation for board members Opperman, Noor, and Lena, who are on that committee with me. And I think that, again, as Superintendent Scanlon was alluding to, there's so much that is not getting done. And it was a really difficult set of decisions. But thank you so much, Director Sweeney, for teeing up the conversation for us to have. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Board Member Bryden. I'm just going to jump in with a couple of things, and then if there are other questions, we can go. I was wondering if we did talk in committee a decent amount about additional ADA compliance, because we have so many buildings that are not fully accessible. And I think it was really informative for me to hear you talk about the challenges in getting those projects and other projects done. So I was wondering if you could speak to kind of what is the climate or the ability to get projects done right now in Portland?
Yes, sure. So there's many steps to starting a project and completing a project. And it's also the city's capacity with their purchasing department. It's the capacity around architects and engineering firms that we can contract with to do the design and engineering work. It's the time dedicated to do that. I mean, it depends on the complexity of the project and how long it's going to take, but it is very time consuming, all these different steps. It's really the design and engineering work that it starts with, and that could be real time consuming and the city's capacity to be able to create POs or create the agreements and contracts with their team.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And then I think the other piece of that I've just been thinking about is, I've just been hearing from people across the state who have had to stop projects because of the potential of the tariffs or other things that are happening. I don't think that we have any federal funding that's connected to this. It's at this point, but I do think I'm just like worried about what is the scenario if building lumber, if tariffs go back with Canada and our cost of lumber supplies go really high, like if it's already approved and then the costs increase, like how does that impact the process?
Well, it could create problems where we can't do as much work as we need to do. I don't know that we know that yet. It kind of, during COVID, same thing happened to us, right? We weren't able to do as many projects or do as much work as we would like because of the cost of product.
And so does then that just come back to committee and that's how we would find out, or what's the loop on that? I wasn't here for that process, so I'm just curious.
Well, it depends. So there's some flexibility with the city on funding. Like we have bonded so much and we have so many projects, some go under, some go over. The city finance director has a little bit of like, if it was already an approved project, he can make the funds go towards this instead with like my input or, So he has some flexibility in that, a little bit of that. But if we needed more money, we would have to put it back into our plan for the next year.
Okay.
And go through that process. Kind of like the Deering Phase 2 masonry.
Yeah.
I started the design work of that, realizing we're going to need more money after starting that work. So it would be similar. You would come back to probably the next year to ask for more funds.
Okay. Thank you for managing all these things. Any other questions from the board or student representatives? Let me just double check that we don't have Board Member Noor on Zoom with any questions. Okay, I don't see them. Okay, thank you so much for all the information tonight. So board members, just as a reminder, that's a first read. So if there are any proposed amendments, they should be circulated to the board in advance by email, and then they would come, we would publish any amendments for the next meeting when we do the second read, which will be next week. Is that right? Yes. Remember, this is a short turnaround this month because of February break. Any questions on that? The difference between the first read and the second read? We just haven't done a lot of them with this new permutation of everyone. So I just wanted to remind folks of how they work. Beautiful. So then I would move to adjourn the meeting. Is there a second? Thank you, Board Member Opperman. All those in favor? Okay, we are adjourned at 8:39 p.m. Take good care, everybody.